All right, I'd like to call the meeting, the Public Building Commission meeting of August 12th, 2020, to order. For attendance in the room here, in the Selectmen room, we have John Miller, Stephen Shea, Brianna from SCTV, and Nancy Holt. And on the phone, we have Alicia Anthony, Larry Gilmet, Carl Campagna, Rachel Young, Linda Hayes, and Stephen Kirby. If we move to the first item on the agenda here, it's just a quick review of the minutes from last meeting, and we can take a vote on those. So if anyone wants to take a couple minutes just to review them, that'd be great. Anyway, any questions or comments on the meeting minutes from July 28th?
No, I don't, Steve.
All right.
No. They look very good.
Good. All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for July 28th, 2020. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Larry. Alicia, if we could do a quick roll call, that'd be great.
Carl Campagna,
Yes.
Steve Kirby.
He doesn't vote.
Okay, so it's just Stephen, Carl, Larry, and Linda voting tonight?
And JD, yep, John Miller.
Okay, yeah. All right, so Linda Hayes,
Yes, I'm good. Approved.
Larry,
Yes.
JD,
Yes.
and Steve?
Yes. All right, the vote's unanimous. So moved.
You're getting some echo there.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're not gonna speak, if you could put your phone on mute or your device on mute, that'd be helpful. Thank you. All right, so that's good. We got the meeting minutes out of the way. So next item on the agenda here, is there any new business? Anything to discuss? No, there being none, we'll move to next
I have
item.
none.
Great, okay, thanks, Carl. Next item on the agenda here, we'll get right into it with the senior center here, with the project update, and then a little discussion and voting on some change orders and some purchase orders. So you have the floor, Steve Kirby.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Good evening, everybody. I'll start off with the usual construction progress. Hopefully you have it's sort of a short photo doc
Yep.
of the progress since the last meeting. And the senior center, vertical granite curbing and precast curbing is mostly complete. The roofing, the roofers have been there. The asphalt shingles are probably about 90% complete as of today. They will be completing that this week and moving on to the EPDM membrane roofing that's in between all the peak roofs up top where the mechanical equipment's going. Windows installation is wrapping up also this week. Then we're moving on to doors and then siding. Light gauge framing is ongoing on the inside for the non-load bearing interior walls. Most of them are installed on the first floor, and they're continuing on with the second floor. They'll have some soffit work also. Electrical rough-ins are continuing. The plumber has been to the site. He's starting his rough-ins. We have as soon as the roof is complete, they're going to start doing some insulation work, and the walk-in cooler is due to come in the next week or two in the kitchen area. They are moving towards starting to use the the new entrance to the senior center, and preparing to close off the old entrance to the gate school, because that gets infilled with wall and curbing. So there's a sort of a slow migration to that. They've started doing demolition of the old asphalt in front of the old gate school, and hauling that off. As far as the rec center goes, the vertical granite curbing is complete at Cudw. The front entry handicap ramp and stair foundations have been poured and are completed. Grading for sidewalks is ongoing right now. They're planning, much of those are asphalt sidewalks, so they're planning on doing binder towards the end of next week. We are working through some of the changes on the interior to get that started again, which we'll talk about shortly. And hopefully the town, the DPW will be removing the 2 trees this coming Saturday, one next to the gym, and then the other on the southeast corner of the senior center. So that's pretty much progress and a little bit of a look ahead. Any questions on that before I go into the photo documentation?
No, thank you for mentioning.
I have none.
Mentioning the trees, that was good. Those get out of there. Yeah, the report you had was pretty thorough. It was a good look at the trees, and I think I would tend to agree that those trees needed to be taken down. How are we looking on schedule? Still on target there?
The overall schedule is still on target for January 15th. Our concern right now is we did have float on the rec center that's pretty much used up at this point. Well, plus or minus. We were having discussions on that. They're showing it being used up. I think there's a little bit of time that they owe us, but because of the latent conditions that we found in the rec center, especially with the unrestrained walls and some of the plumbing issues, and the time it's being taken to get pricing back, and we've been going back and forth a little bit. We've used up some time, but again, I want to sort of get into that a little later when I go over a couple of future PCOs.
Okay. End result, schedule's looking good though. How's the budget looking? Still on target there?
Well, that's an item too I had for discussion. The budget right now, I think again with looking at what we had for construction contingency and what I'm forecasting for some items that we haven't gotten pricing in yet is, and another item which I want to talk about also shortly is, I guess, I have a couple placeholders, one for the revision of the front entry for the traffic control islands that is out for pricing but hasn't come back yet. And then because of the planning board's decision on the future parking in the field area, we don't know whether we're going to have to do that or not. I have to set aside some money in the budget for that. And I've got some ideas on that. Again, I want to go over as a separate item. But with having those placeholders in, we're at this point with about 37% of the construction contingency remaining. So I'm looking at being as frugal as possible on future change orders, because we're getting into an area where again this isn't accounting for change orders that we've approved to date, but there's change orders that are pending and there's change orders that I'm anticipating. So we're getting down to about $190,000 remaining of the 510. And again, I'm budgeting, I'm putting placeholders in for some items, but I'm going to have to do that, or we're going to be out of contingency.
All right. JD, you had something you want to say?
Steve, I got a question. This is JD. We've got commitment for a traffic study, correct? Or
We do.
So wouldn't that back parking possibility off of the field be somewhat contingent upon the results of the traffic study? In which case, we're not going to know for 6 months.
I guess we can get into this now. Here's the sort of the conundrum with this. Yes, the way it's written up on the planning board decision is that there would be a parking monitoring study and report issued for the first 6 months after operation of the senior center.
Right.
And that report would be submitted to the planning board, and then they would decide whether the future parking lot would be needed or not. Okay, so, and if it is needed, that parking lot isn't necessarily designed for a contractor to just go in and build it. It was shown as a location, and we've got 2 light poles that are sitting out in the middle of the field at this point, because those were dictated to us to be installed. But we don't have a design for it. So if the case is that the planning board says you need that parking lot, then we've paid for a study. We're going to have to pay for a design, and then we're going to have to pay for a contractor to come in and build it after the senior center is fully occupied, right, with customers or members coming in and out, and disturbing the essentially what we've already completed. So I'm sort of thinking, and this is not for a vote or anything. This is just for a discussion. Is maybe we build it now. We don't do the parking monitoring study that we voted an amendment for, which would save some money. Have that design and have it built by the contractors that are on site already, and just say, you know what? Here's the additional 16 spaces or whatever it is. We can use it as the snow storage, but it's there to be used, excuse me, as a parking lot also, and because we would have to hold on to budget for potentially a year after we've completed the project.
Yeah.
Because there is no other funding. It's going to come out of the senior center budget. There's no other basket of money as far as I know.
Would this methodology be acceptable to the planning board, and do we have to make a presentation before them to tell them what the plan would be?
I prefer not to go through all that step, but then they'd be getting, essentially, if we put the parking lot in, they'd essentially be getting what they ultimately want. That's the way
exactly,
I look at it.
Yes. But I'm just wondering if we have to run this by them to see if this would be acceptable to them.
Well, I would certainly run it by Karen Joseph, but not in the form of a board meeting, but tell her this is what we're thinking. I wouldn't just go ahead and do it by any means.
Okay.
But, I'm not looking to go in front of the board. I want to talk to, she's sort of, the point of contact. So that's what I recommend. And again, I'm just throwing this out here for discussion.
Yes. Yes.
Based on timing of it and really our funds and what's available. And
no, I can see where you're going, Steve. The funds are I'd hate to be strapped with doing that if we didn't need to, because the funds are tight to start with, you know?
We would, if we didn't have the funding and they said, well, yes, go ahead and do it, then I don't know how it would get done. Now the site is a construction site. Essentially a year from now, which it would, if we occupy in January and they do a study for 6 months, we'd be into next summer. That's a fully occupied senior center, fully occupied rec center, programs in the field for the rec department, and a construction site in the middle of that. And the neighbors close to the,
Right.
the west property line.
I mean, do you think you could get costs together on both scenarios, do it now, or do it with the remobilization and all that down the road?
Well, we had talked about that, but the problem is, if we ask the contractor, hey, can you price a parking lot there, he's going to start asking questions as far as, well, what's the grading? They're going to need some design documents in order to give us a price, a realistic price, which we would have to give Bardman an amendment to have coastal engineering come up with at least one or two civil SKs to show which way we're grading it, which would mean how much gravel they're bringing up. Is there any drainage requirements for it? I'm hoping there's not. I'm hoping it's really just paving a piece of land, but we want to make sure that the drainage goes in the direction we want it to go.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been done because it became it was originally our snow storage area, and then it became a potential future parking area, but it wasn't designed to build it. Let's say it was a future item, but maybe we should have designed it that I don't know, but at this point it still would have been an additional services type of thing.
I think for us
Maybe
to
not a
make
lot
it,
of money, but
yeah, I think from us to make it, an educated, well thought out decision, we need at least like a ballpark cost to really judge where we're at with it,
And isn't it overflow?
Well, again, I mean, I have a placeholder, but it's not really. It's sort of based on a very, loose. I didn't do a takeoff or anything, so I don't want to.
What do you carry? What do you carry?
Because some people may be listening.
You don't want to say what you're carrying for.
Yeah, because that may be the price we get from the contractor.
All right. All right, let's think about it, and we can chat about it next meeting. And I think next meeting it'd be good to have a full budget review and look at these, the placeholders and line items and everything you get going here, and then we can probably make some better decisions on where we're going with this thing.
Well, that's the question I was going to have too. The next meeting was scheduled for the 25th of August. Are we still having that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still in the books. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's. I'll get that on the agenda next meeting to have a full budget review. All right. What else do we got?
Okay. So we want to do the quick photo doc.
Sure. Yeah. Let's move on to that.
Okay. So first photo is east elevation of the senior center. At this point, windows are in. Most of the windows are in on both the east and the north side, and you can see the roofers installing the asphalt shingles. Next next photo is the south elevation of the senior center with the framing and roof decking done, the trim on, the roof edge on, getting ready for the roofers to start. Some of the windows are in. The next photo is page 4 is the same elevation, but off of from the B-wing roof. Page 5, just showing the precast concrete curbing installed in the senior center parking lot. Page 6 is the vertical granite curb facing towards First Parish on the left. As you know, if you can look in the background of that photo, the curbing on the right isn't completed yet because of the change for the traffic islands. Is a different radius curve. Page 7 is a view from the roof showing the flat areas that are going to be EPDM, where we have mechanical equipment, and then the sloped roof areas showing trim and getting ready for roofing to come in. Page 8. Similar photo. This is on the north steep roof, showing roof edge being installed. On the lower left is the curb. That's where the rooftop unit is going to be placed. Again, the high roof section facing north, showing trim and roof edge starting to be installed. Page 10, this light gauge wall framing on the first floor. Page 11, light gauge framing installation on the second floor. Page 12, roofing installation is started. The next page again, roof installation on the pitched roofs. Page 14, the roofers up on the roof. This roof elevation is much more completed. Page 15, again they're working on the roofing. Page 16 is at the rec center gym, the new entry stair and ramp foundations. Those have since been backfilled, and actually the elevator shaft was being waterproofed today. The next page is sidewalk at the gym and adjacent to the tree that's going to be coming down. And the last page is the vertical granite curb at Cudw. This is where the handicap ramp goes across Cudw. There'll be a painted crosswalk, but the other side is not prepped for a handicap. We're going to talk to DPW about what they want to do there, because the far side of the road was not within the work limits. So we sort of got a crosswalk that's going to a trip hazard. So we gotta go over that with DPW. And that's it for the photo update. Any questions?
So the site work, Steve, you think all that site work will be wrapped up, by fall, winter, and everything, or?
Well, there's definitely a push to get that done. I mean, you're getting themselves to the point of now doing mostly surface work.
Yeah.
Most of the underground is done. There's a little bit of potentially a little bit of conduit, electrical conduit, depending on what we do with the bollards out front. But for the most part, they're in pretty good shape. The big push is going to be doing plantings within the planting season.
Yeah, that's what my concern was, right? We're not concerned, but that's just,
Well, I do have concern for plantings around the building because, the west property line is pretty much a go. That's clear of any work right now. So they'll be able to do the new fence and the bushes and trees along that line, which is a majority of the plantings. But our concern is around the building, getting that done within the planting season, which means you got to get the siding completed and a lot of the exterior work, which is, I think it's doable, but it's going to be tight. And I really don't want to go into next spring with
no.
doing plantings around the building.
Okay, well, just keep us posted.
All right, and just as far as COVID-19 update, they're getting more guys on the site. We're having to mention making sure everybody has masks on more often as new people come in. Delphi has had their safety director come in and put out the word, but it's being done. But in some cases, it's the guys that are coming down. They don't necessarily, they might have it with them, but they don't have it on. So it's something we bring up every week.
All right. Is there any, penalty structure or anything kind of put together to take care of this, or no?
Well, I mean, we haven't. We wanted to make sure everybody was concerned for their own health.
Right.
But if it becomes a major problem, and people don't want to go into the building because people are ignoring the face mask issue, and as we get into the building, the quarters are much closer. Outside, social distancing is a little bit easier, but
right.
Inside it's two guys in a scissors lift is they're closer than 6 feet. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, this is Larry. Is there an established protocol for the sequencing of the interior work by trade?
Yes, Delphi has a schedule. Yes.
Okay. And is that schedule, because of COVID-19, do they anticipate it'll have any impact on the schedule?
We haven't heard anything at this point as far as COVID-related material delays. There's always been the rumor that anything that's coming potentially from China or overseas may be a problem.
Yeah.
And Delphi has been after the electrician to ensure that all that information is provided. But to date, they have said nothing as far as this. The light fixture package is going to be delayed 20 weeks because of COVID. That has not happened. So
okay.
The longer it doesn't happen, the longer I'm going to say, if it does, saying, well, you should have told us a long time ago. That should be something that's a known answer at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Good question, yeah. Anything else
Okay,
from the board or you as a group?
You want to move on to the change order?
Does anyone else have any questions, comments for Steve?
No, I don't have any.
No.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the change orders, Steve.
Okay, we have tonight change order number 6 to Delphi. It totals $42,960.46. It's comprised of 10 PCOs. Some of these we've touched base on earlier, but I'll go through them. And you can see most of them have an R1 or an R2, so we've gone back and forth on pricing with them to make sure that we're satisfied with what we're being charged for this work. So we're not rubber stamping any of these. PCO 21R2, this was for the removal of that unknown slab that was found on the east side of the building. It was a latent condition, unknown. That was mainly a unit price removal, because we did have unit prices for bringing gravel in and taking debris out. There was some other non unit price items, but we had them break those out because unit price items, there's no overhead markup or extra bond, everything's included. So we had to work our way through that, but that particular PCO actually started out at $25,000, and we're at $16,146.68 at this point. PCO 27R1. This was for additional mobilization for the slab on grade finishers, and this ties back to the change in code, plumbing code, for the sump pump and the oil separator that we needed for the elevator pit. Because we had to order that oil separator and change that sump pump, that material came in later than the scheduled slab pour. So the finishers had to box out the area for the sump pump was okay, but the oil water separator had to be placed within the slab itself, and there was piping to it. So they had to box that out and then come back and re-pour that. So there was labor, and then there was another mobilization of the concrete pump. So that and we ended up agreeing to $3,781.65. PCO 31. We issued a directive to the electrician to search out the circuiting in the gate school A wing, in order to know what we had for existing panels and breakers to install exterior lighting on as wall packs on the A wing for the repaved or the refurbished parking lot that runs behind the B wing, between the A wing and the ball field. We had the requirement to install lighting there. There were a couple light poles shown, but for the civil, but they didn't show up on the electrical drawings. So instead of doing the light poles, we thought we'd do wall packs to give the proper light, and we're eliminating the light poles, which it comes up as a credit on another PCO. So again, this was $1,810.49 was for the electrician to find circuiting that we could use to install these wall packs.
Do you have any idea what the credit would be on the light poles? Do you think you'd wash that?
Yeah, that comes up down in PCO 45.
Okay.
Where we have the actual lights, and then the credit on the bases came under that.
Okay, I'll let you get to that. Okay.
Yep. 32R1. It's titled Out of Scope Paving Prep, and that was again in the area in the back of the B wing along the A wing, where they had to strip the asphalt parking lot that was there, that was in very bad shape. And we found part of the problem was that there was a layer of unsuitables in the middle of that parking lot, to the point where it had water content to it, so it was spongy. It was pumping. You could move it with your feet. So we had them, and it was below the subgrade that they owned. So we had them excavate that material out and bring in dry material, which solved the problem. We also found that there was a drain manhole frame and cover out there that was not H20 loading, that was actually in a paved area, and an existing sewer manhole frame that was cracked and had been cracked for a long time. So we had them replace that. So some of that was unit price work. Also, that came in at $5,748.72. The next item, 36R2, was based on Bulletin 44 in the rec center to revise the exhaust duct for the toilet room fans, where it was being shown to exit the building for the men's and ladies' room was actually over a window that was a structural a bond beam over the window, so we couldn't drill two 12-inch holes in that. We opted to run the ductwork up through the roof in the location of the abandoned access hatch that is now just a curb. And so that we were getting a credit for some of the work from the GC for the coring. We had an ad for the roofer who wasn't involved in it to begin with, and it was somewhat of a wash for the HVAC guy. So ultimately it became $119.71 ad. Didn't start out that way, but it ended up that way after a couple of rounds. PCO 39R1 goes with a bulletin. Is it bulletin 39? Yeah, bulletin 39 for some plumbing revisions that were uncovered once we started doing a demolition. We found that the drinking fountain up on the second floor was not operable at all. So we're replacing that with a high-low drinking fountain to be handicap accessible. There were some revisions to the toilets going from wall-mounted to floor-mounted, which was essentially to the plumber a no-charge wash. And then we also had to tie in the hot water recirculation pipe to all the way down to the basement with a couple of valves. That ended up being $5,667.72. PCO 44R1 it's based on an RFI for what they're calling potentially puddling. Again, behind the B-wing, when we were prepping that for asphalt binder, there was a high point that would essentially maintain the grading and drainage away that was 1 foot low in 2 spot grades, which actually would have made a ponding situation. So it should have been a 1 foot higher, but it was, I guess, essentially a typo on the drawings. So that was strictly a unit price of bringing in additional material, and that was $1,100 even. PCO 45. Oh, sorry, was it a question?
No, I think the phone just echoed.
Okay.
Somebody's blowing a nose.
PCO 45. This is for the lighting at the rear of the A-wing side of the recreation center. We're going with the wall pack lights, and the bases that were owned by the GC are being credited back. The total on that is $3,786.53.
So that's a credit, Steve. Just to be clear, it's
yeah, there was a credit for the light bulb bases and the installation of those said bases. Bear with me a second. So the site contractor gave a credit of $26.43, and the electrical ad was $61.78.
Okay.
And then there was excuse me, GC markups on top of that. PCO 46, there was a change in the depth of the light pole bases from 5'3" to 6 foot. So this was a material change totaling $1,678.96. And then PCO 53. During the bidding, there was an addenda that was issued that stated under the gravel base under the asphalt sidewalks should be 6 inches, because there was two different details. One had 8 and one had 6. In the addenda, it called for it was clarified as in a pre-bid question to be 6. But as we get into construction, there was a subsequent RFI that was sent in, and the civil wanted to have that gravel depth changed to 8 inches. So this is essentially 2 inches of excavation and gravel throughout underneath all of the asphalt sidewalks, which equals basically 40 cubic yards of material. Again, this was a unit price change totaling $3,120. Again, the total for change order 6, $42,960.46.
All right. Yeah, that's a good chunk of the contingency right there. Unfortunately, I think we're reviewing these. The lion's share of them is definitely from existing conditions with the site and the recreation center. Unfortunately, not much towards the senior center new build, which is positive. I mean, we're pretty good way into the senior center, and framing and windows and roofs and things like that. And there hasn't been any major kind of rework there, which is good to hear. This is unfortunate part of dealing with old sites and old buildings that this stuff comes up. I think that's just where we're at. Any other comments or questions from the board?
No, I have none.
No.
Linda, you have anything to add or questions or anything?
No, not on that piece. Got it covered.
Okay. JD, anything?
No, I'm good.
Good. All right, thanks for reviewing that. And I do appreciate, Vertex going to bat here. Like you said, I do see the emails going back and forth with the negotiations, and the attention to detail that everyone's showing to these change orders is definitely much appreciated. And I think it's indicative here between the revision numbers that stuff does go back and forth, and they're looked at, and we get to the right price. I would hope. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. I don't think Delphi particularly cares for it, but okay.
I am sure that is definitely the case, right? Right. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 6, which is inclusive of PCO number 21R2, 27R1, 31, 32R1, 36R2, 39R1, 44R1, 45, 46, and 53. The amount of change order number 6 is in the amount of $42,960.46. Is there a second on that? change order? Anyone want to
I can
second?
second. I'll second.
All right, seconded by Linda Hayes. If we could do a quick roll call, Alicia, that'd be great.
John Miller,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Carl Campagna,
Yes.
Linda Hayes,
Yes?
and Stephen Shea.
Yes. So all are in favor unanimously, so the motion moves. So we will get that signed. Good.
Okay, thank you. The next thing I want to talk to you, there's a couple of PCOs that, one in particular, we tried hard to get onto this change order, but because of some misunderstanding on the scope by a subcontractor, Delphi wasn't able to finalize it as we had discussed this morning in order to get it on this change order. So what my thought was is, we have a PCO that's in now. Actually, there's two I want to talk about, but I'd like to go over it and have the members vote on it as a not to exceed amount, because I know it's going to go down. But if we vote it as a not to exceed, and this one in particular is one that they need to do now because it's part of the demo for that needs to be done for some of the seismic issues in the on the second floor of the rec center.
Is this 34?
But this is 3401.
Yeah.
If we give it the okay as a not to exceed, when we finalize the number, we can issue them a CCD to proceed with the work, and then fold it into the next change order as a CCD/PCO. So, 34R1, which is currently at 22,017.68, is essentially fuller than 32R. It's for work on the mainly work on the second floor walls. When we did the demolition, and I think I talked about a little bit a few meetings ago. We did the demolition, taking ceilings down. We found that the glazed block wall on the inside of the walls of the corridors, you go up above the ceiling and are not restrained whatsoever. You can move them. You could move them back and forth. There's no seismic restraint. There appears to be no ties or anything. So Rachel got the structural engineer out, and he came up with a bunch of repairs, both using steel clips at the top from the Miss Metals sub, and then some heavier gauge light gauge framing to tie these walls back in so that they'll be stable. So, and then there was some demolition of some of the walls also. So we have costs from the demolition sub, the Miss Metals subcontractor, and also the drywall / light gauge framing. And we've been going back and forth with them a little bit, and we got pretty close today, but it didn't get finalized. But I don't want to hold this up another 2 weeks, because they're basically saying we can't restart the interior of the rec center, and that's where, when I talked about the schedule, that's where all that float's gone that we had. My fear is that we find one more thing, and they say, well, we're going to be, beyond our original substantial completion date, and I don't want to, go over that whole discussion with cost. And I've had that discussion with them, and they're not looking for an extension. They want to be done on the 15th and go on to the next job. So, at this point, we're sort of all in the same boat, but I just want to make sure we have the ability to say, okay, this is the final number, we agree, go start the work.
Right.
Without having an official change order, but, having the PBC's blessing on it.
Sure. No, I think definitely another item that's, was an existing condition, unfortunately, that came up. I've been tracking the emails and kind of following along with it, and you did mention in meetings before that these are like the main walls in the lobby in the second floor, correct? I mean, that's what we're talking about?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so those are the walls that go into the laboratories, I guess, the kind of separation walls there.
You got going into the new bathrooms.
Yeah.
It affects all of those areas, and the
Right.
Front wall where the elevator, doors and windows.
No, hard to believe that those walls weren't tied in at some point, or it's good nothing's happened to them to date. Certainly, was there an option just to rip the walls down and just frame them up and put new walls up, or is there too many utilities in them, plumbing?
You're gonna have a hard time understanding you because there's an echo again.
Yeah, can we put it, if everyone can put their phones on mute if they're not speaking, that'd be great. There we go.
That's good now. And whoever did whatever, that's
Great.
fine.
So I was just saying, I didn't know if there was an option or if anyone had looked at, just pulling the walls down, or is there too many utilities in them and electrical and plumbing and venting and all that stuff?
Well, one of the problems is that's the old glazed block walls. So if we start pulling them down, you're going to have mismatching walls, within that lobby, and it also becomes a major undertaking as far as tearing those walls down, and then what do we put up? Are we going to go with block again for durability, or are we going to go with sheetrock with the abuse resistant
FRP over or something like that, right?
I think it would have been more. It would have been a higher cost than where we're at now, doing sort of like surgical repairs putting seismic restraint in.
Right.
I mean, it's still up there. I mean,
Yeah.
It's still going to be in the $20,000 range. I mean, we're going to get it down a little bit, but it's not going to come down to 10 by any means. So, we're going to go for as much as we possibly can.
Right. No, it does from what I follow and everything. I mean, it's a pretty invasive and involved job to do this, right?
Right, and it's multiple subs, coming in and coming out, one guy, the demo guy's got to do his thing first before the other guys can do anything.
Right.
So it just really sort of stopped everything, unfortunately. Some of the other things, we're getting, we sort of worked through, because you notice there's been a few different bulletins that have been issued for this whole area with,
Right.
plumbing and some minor revisions here and there. We also have, another one we have is we've got the whole elevator, the sump pump and oil water separator change order on this rec center too, and that's in the 21,569 range at this point. Again, we're looking at deleting a control panel in order to save a few dollars on that. But we're close to having that squared away too. But that's another one that we want to be able to give them the okay to get that in, because the plumber has work in essentially the crawl space to put that whole system together. So that's the other one that I was looking for. Getting a blessing to say, hey, we've come down and we agreed to the price. We can, if they want a CCD, we'll issue them the CCD. Otherwise, it'll just show up on the next change order. But we're giving the authorization to release orders for materials and actually start doing the work.
What change order is that? The sump and everything?
That one is 38R1.
In that amount in that one?
right now, it's at 21,569.70.
569.70?
Yep, yes.
And then you still have, you've been talking about there's some driveway changes or something like that, islands that we need to do?
Yes, the island, that's at First Parish. That is going to create when you exit from the senior center, a right turn only. And this is part of the discussions with the lawsuit.
Any idea what the cash flow on that looks like?
Well, that's. I guess I was trying to keep this. Yeah, but I've got a placeholder of 50 for that.
Okay. All right, but you have, yeah, as you mentioned before, on the budget, you have placeholders for all these, and we're still got some meat left, I guess. Okay. So going back to the lobby area up in the gate school, the block wall, it's clear you need a decision on that to move forward. So I'll
I don't know if it
entertain.
has to be a vote or not. Maybe it can just be a consensus. I'm not sure.
No, we do a vote on it just for the fact that we're remote and kind of things are just to bring some formality to it. Does anyone have any questions or concerns on that one? It's purely an existing condition that we're stuck with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Larry, Carl, or Linda.
No, I'm good.
34R1 is a late condition that we're stuck with, and 33R1 is a change in the plumbing code that occurred after the bid, but before we pulled the permit.
Yeah, same deal with the soil sump one. Is everybody comfortable, voting on a not to exceed on that one also? Change order 38. R1.
Yes.
All right. It's, unfortunate, but
Yeah, I have no questions, but
to keep things moving, I think, it's what we need to do. All right. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve a not to exceed value on change order number 34R1 for the Recreation Center lobby rework needed from existing conditions of the building in the amount of not to exceed $22,017.68. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Carl. Is there, can we do a quick roll call, Alicia?
Linda Hayes? Yes. Larry?
Yes.
John Miller?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
And Carl?
Yes.
All right, the vote is unanimous. The motion passes. Similarly, I'd like to make a motion to approve not to exceed on change order number 38R1 for an oil separator and sump work on the Recreation Center elevator driven by code changes after project inception in the amount not to exceed $21,569.70. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by John Miller in the room here. If we could do a quick roll call.
Larry?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
All right, everyone is in favor. The motion passes. All right. Good.
Do you want to do invoices last, and then maybe jump to the interior color selections, and with Rachel on the line, and maybe talking about the FF&E a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Just as a preview, and then I'll turn it over to Rachel and Linda, essentially. There was a meeting yesterday at BH&A's office in Boston that Linda attended in regard to looking at most, not all, but most of the colors, ceramic tile, carpet, countertops, quarry tile, acoustical panel fabric, a number of items, LVT, and then sort of narrow down those selections or the recommendations from the architect. And then there was also a visit to Red Thread, which is a furniture supplier group. But today, both JD and Stephanie came by the site to review the colors that were selected. Rachel brought the samples down so that the finished selection subcommittee could look at them. There was pretty much a consensus on colors that were recommended. There was one question in regard to the direction of the rug pattern, the carpet tile pattern in the corridors that I can let Rachel review. But essentially, what's recommended, the subcommittee was in agreement with. And again, Linda, JD, you can weigh in on those things too. But I'll turn it over to Linda, JD, or Rachel, whoever wants to jump in with any more information, and maybe Rachel, you could talk about that carpet direction.
Well, sure. Yeah, Rachel, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so I think Steve did a good job of summarizing where we are with the finishes. There are a few finishes that we have to come to a consensus on still, namely paint colors for the cabinetry and the solid surface material. But I don't believe that those are as much of a crunch as some of the other materials, such as the luxury vinyl tile and the carpet, and those we did come to a consensus on. So for the carpet, I'm just going to describe this verbally. It's a carpet tile that's in a rectangular format. It's 18 inches wide by 48 inches long, and it has subtle striping that goes down it. And really for us, we all agreed that the color, we agreed on the color itself, but then the question is how those tiles are oriented primarily in the hallway and the first floor, which is where we have the most of it. I know that Joel had one preference, which was to run it perpendicular to the walls. It seems everyone else liked running it, the length of the parallel or the length of the hallway. So I think that that's a discussion that we can have at a later date. It's not going to affect the color or the quantity of the tile. But I know that in reaching out to Joel that there's no, besides aesthetics, there's no specific reason he's asking for that orientation. In other words, it's not because of the way that the striping would work with depth perception for a senior population or something to that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
It's purely an aesthetic judgment on his call.
Right. All right. Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't affect the volume or the the amount of carpet we have to purchase, I mean, you can always get it. We can lay a little bit down in the field and see how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
So, Linda, did you want to add anything about that finishes?
About the finishes in general? Well, no, I mean, carpeting and the LVT, the tile, flooring tile. I think we settled on a couple of variations, so it's got a nice combination of warm and cool. We opted to use one color in the multi-purpose room and then another throughout the rest of the building where it applies. So no, between the carpeting and the LVT, I think we really made some nice choices. altogether. So I am happy with that.
So-
What?
That's good. I was just gonna ask, so the materials and the finishes and everything kind of brought to the table, were they all within the realm of a budget, or has that been looked at yet?
Good question. I don't know if that's, I don't even know what
There's nothing, right now, there's nothing that's being looked at as an upgrade from what was owned in the base contract.
Okay,
Right.
that's all I needed to know.
Right,
Yeah,
it's correct, Rachel?
Yeah, that's correct. That's my understanding from the contractor as well.
okay, so nothing.
So in addition, I guess what we'd be bringing forth to the committee tonight was the carpet and vinyl tile finish and the bathroom finishes as well, the flooring and isn't that right, on the wall tiles?
Yeah, so it would be the wall and floor tile, the vinyl tile, and the carpet. And in addition, you have the acoustic panels. And
You have the shade color, the
and the shade, thank you, that was the last one I was going for. Those are
The counter.
those are the five.
you had the
The counter, I don't
serving
think
counter.
there's consensus, yeah.
Oh, there's not? I thought everybody was okay with the solid.
Yeah.
The
The marble countertop in the restrooms and the gray marble for
the
the
serving.
kitchen multi-purpose service area. Yeah.
Okay.
You also had the quarry tile.
Yes, quarry tiles, correct, yep.
Yeah. LBT.
So yes, I believe that covers it.
Yep. I think that's it. Yep.
And you're looking for a
Again,
vote on that
it's
tonight
difficult
because of lead
Under
time?
these conditions, it's difficult for everybody to understand what was looked at, but that's why we just went with the subcommittee to
Right.
Yeah.
sort of get it through
So
that.
Stephanie-
Stamp it.
Yeah. So Stephanie's not on tonight though?
No, but she messaged me. She did stop at the site today and looked at everything and said
Yeah.
she agreed with the finishes and.
Yep, she did. Okay. I mean, I was with her and JD as well.
Oh, good,
so,
okay.
we were all in agreement with the recommendations from the architect and our own preferences. And I did have some help. So originally I had help from two of my board members for selecting the carpet. It got slightly changed when we met with the architects, but it is the basic carpet selection that they had made. So that's nice. I mean, it was nice to get their input as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and the site visit today, it wasn't a 5-minute deal. We spent time going through everything, and and went to the building and looked at some of the lighting levels in the building, especially when our discussion about the shades. So, the committee, the subcommittee spent a good amount of time going through things.
Okay.
And,
Larry.
if we're interested in the shade color was something that it's a light white linen, but
Yeah.
there was a potential change order that we were floating or considering that maybe we would have gone to some room darkening shades, but once we were in the building and looked at the amount of light coming in and the 3% opacity for the shade that we already have on order or have selected, we think it's fine. So
Yeah.
we're not going to upgrade at this point.
So Rachel, would you say the finishes and everything are kind of in sync with the original renderings and conceptual renderings?
Yeah, I think so by and large.
Okay.
We were always showing a wood grain luxury vinyl tile that's consistent with what we selected. I think the carpet patterning changed a little, but I think we picked something that's really nice and elegant and will fit well with the building for a while. Like it's not gonna go out of fashion quickly, I don't think. Yeah, I think we largely stuck to those renderings. I think are pretty faithful.
Okay. Larry or Carl, do you have any comments, questions?
No, none. Nope, none.
So you need a vote on this stuff to Because of lead times and everything, I'm assuming, maybe?
Yeah, we want to get them the colors as soon as possible so that we don't have that old chestnut that, the ceramic tile is 14 weeks out,
Yeah.
that, and then in that quarter winter can't finish, so, the earlier we get them, the colors, the more we can fight back on something like that. Not saying it's going to happen, but it has happened in the past, and you end up starting to change tiles, and you never really want to do that.
No, that gets costly.
Just for schedule.
All right, that was a mouthful of stuff that needed to get done. Linda, you were there. Do you want to take a stab at a motion to put out there?
Okay, I don't mind doing that. Do I need to include everything? Which I can do, I think. So could I have a motion to approve selection of the interior finishes to include the carpet tiles, the vinyl plank flooring, luxury vinyl plank flooring, the shades, the acoustic wall panels in the multipurpose room, the bathroom or restroom flooring and wall tiles, and the kitchen floor tile, as well as, I think, a utility area tile element.
Right.
I have that right. And I
And the
think that...
and the countertops.
And the countertops both for the restrooms and the service area in the kitchen multipurpose serving space.
Alicia, did you get all that? Is that good?
I did. Thank you.
All right. Is there a
Atta
second?
girl.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Seconded by John Miller. All right. If we can do a roll call, Alicia, that'd be great.
Stephen,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
All right. So all in favor, the motion passes as submitted. Great. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rachel, for your help.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
Now, one other thing has come up recently in regard to the furniture selections. We had been going down the path of dealing with the company Red Thread because they're on the state bid list to assist a little bit in presentation and they sort of gather furniture from different. They're not a furniture company. They sort of do the furniture.
Right. I deal with them.
Design.
I deal with them at work too. But yeah, I know where they are.
Right. So we had talked about that and going with that, and again they're on the state bid list. But we did get an email the other day about bidding this out to other
Suppliers.
furniture vendors, and that may create a little bit of additional work. It just recently came in, and Rachel, I don't know how much your office has talked about this, if at all, at this point. But I wanted to bring it up to the committee the commission to talk about whether we're going to take this turn or not. Because we're also getting to the point where Red Thread is looking at, sort of finalizing the furniture list, which I know Linda's going over now, and they're looking to start placing orders. But Linda, they told you guys yesterday that they need a deposit in order to purchase.
Right.
And it's like 50%.
Right.
So,
You know what-
I don't think we've talked about delivery or lead times. Do they even know when you're looking for the furniture? Because it's really gonna be probably, end of January, February 1st.
Sarah suggested yesterday that it would be either initially end of December, and I mentioned that the construction completion date was mid-January. So then they thought maybe they would look at the first of the year as a delivery date or as an installation date.
Yeah, we got to be careful. We can't have furniture coming in when the contractor's trying to finish up, because that will be not a good scene.
Right.
Unless they have areas done. Now, we don't want to give them too much time, but if they got areas on the second floor that can be done, but a lot of times the furniture people, they want to deliver once. So there's coordination there, but it's going to be sort of a madhouse probably in that building in December and January.
Okay. So we should wait until what we think is targeted as the completion date, and then.
I would look more at the earliest being after the first of the year. Mid-January. If we can go earlier, great. But I think they're going to need all the time. Because we're halfway through August.
Well, the other issue, and Rachel can echo this, I imagine, but we did discuss this, and because Bargman had a relationship with Red Thread and was comfortable with that, and especially once the onset of the COVID restrictions happened at all, it just seems like the most seamless and the most efficient method was to work with the designers from Red Thread. But short of it being contractual, which I don't think it is necessarily, we sort of said, yes, we'll go that route and we'll have them do the design and the layout and the recommendations for the furnishings instead of going out to bid for everything that we wanted. So
yeah, I think our biggest concern is just timeline at this point. Because I think we would be hoping to, Red Thread had mentioned putting a deposit down, and my understanding from Sarah is that we'd be looking to release the furniture starting in September. And if we were really going to open this up to multiple vendors, we would want to do an actual bidding, just like we would for, a construction project. And that takes time. It takes time to put the bid documents together, and it takes time to list the company's bid on the specifications. And I'm just not sure we have that time.
Red Thread's on the state list. I mean, they're on there for a reason.
Yeah, they are. Yep. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I haven't been through this before, but maybe there ends up being some things that we don't go through Red Thread for because either A, we've already, we're coming close to the budget, or they just haven't provided something that, that we like, and it could be that then later, I said the same thing to WB Mason, you never know. So.
Is there anything from the town, Nancy, that?
Steve, did I send you that email?
Which one's that, Steve?
About, there's an email that came in from Office Resources, which is another furniture company.
Yeah.
You may have. I'll have to look.
Okay. I just sent it to you again.
Okay.
I say, can we continue that discussion at the next meeting so we can get all of the information and then review? Because there's a state contract and then there's a mass higher ed contract as well. Many of these people are on both.
Right.
So we could do something requesting from those contracts what their pricing is for if we had a list of items that we were going to purchase.
Can everyone hear Nancy or no? Sorry.
No,
I couldn't.
Not really.
No.
Okay, the ask was, we'll I guess keep going with getting the list together of furniture and things of that nature, but I think it's probably a lot of value there, and where we're getting tight on the contract and tight on dollars here, it might be worth looking at. There's different avenues we could bid this out to,
Yeah, this guy had a conversation with Karen Canfield, so that's how he sort of got,
Right.
tuned into the project. And apparently they were the furniture provider on the town library.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they were on the line. I don't know if they were on
So
the
that's
line.
one question. Are you happy with the furnishing at the library?
Both Office Resources and Red Firm are on the state contract OFF 38. I bet they're both on NHEC C07. So is WB Mason.
Yeah.
So if you have a list of goods that you want from the manufacturer, there's absolutely no reason why we can't go to all of these vendors on this list, a few of them, and see who will provide the best pricing.
Did everyone hear that?
No,
Pretty
what
much,
I
yeah.
was going to suggest, I couldn't hear it, but maybe it's worth, I know that Sarah from my office had reached out to Nancy, but maybe it's just worth me giving Nancy a call tomorrow to discuss what options we might have.
Yeah, that's good.
Sure, makes sense.
Let's go from there. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for looking at the furnishes and side and interior finishes so far. That seems like it was a good piece of work, and
No problem.
glad we came to some decisions there. And we'll carry on with our
Okay,
furniture discussion next meeting. Good. What else, Steve?
If there's nothing else of general nature, I was just going to go into the requisition and a couple of invoices, and then I'll stop talking.
All right, that sounds like a. I don't have anything else. Any JD or Larry or Carl? No. All right, let's do it.
Okay, the first one up is Delphi's application for payment number 7. It's for work performed up to the end of July. The amount is $738,634.29. It is for costs associated with at the senior center, concrete, masonry, mixed metals, steel, carpentry, siding, roofing, doors and windows, drywall, building specialties, fire suppression, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, site work, and landscaping. At the recreation center, it's for concrete, site work, and mixed metals. And then it also includes the contractor's general conditions and change orders. Again, that amount is $738,634.29. It was certified by the architect on the 7th of August.
Yeah, I mean, I reviewed it. It looks pretty cut and dry. I mean, it's obviously the meat of the, we're in the heat of construction here. It seems reasonable. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the application?
Steve, what percentage is that of the?
Oh, I'm sorry, that brings us up to 38%. Sorry, I forgot to say that.
Yeah, it's on the letter here, right? Good question, JD. Larry, Carl, Linda, anything?
Nope, no questions. No, I don't have any questions either.
No, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve Delphi Construction Company application for payment number 7 in the amount of $738,634.29, bringing the contract billed amount of 38%. Invoice is certified by architects and also reviewed by Vertex. Services rendered have been noted by Mr. Kirby previously. Is there a second on the application?
Second.
Seconded by Carl. Can you do a roll call?
Larry?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Linda? Yes. John?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Did we get Linda? And Linda too? Linda.
She did.
Oh, good, okay, all right. So all in favor, the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, the next invoice is Bargman Henry North Archetype invoice number 24690 for their professional services for the month of July in the amount of $22,564.80. It is for construction administration and then also fixtures, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which we just talked about. We have the FAE design and review with Red Thread. So that's $22,564.80.
Right. I reviewed it too. I mean, it looks pretty consistent with the billing we've been seeing. Pretty standard. Any questions from the board? Comments? There being none, I'll move forward with this. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve Bargman, Henry, and Architects and Company invoice number 24690 for services performed through July 30th, 2020 in the amount of $22,564.80. Invoices are for construction administration and FF&E on the Scituate Senior Center and Recreation Center, bringing the contract amount to about to 64%. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Larry. You do a roll call.
Carl?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
All right. The vote is unanimous, and the motion passes. Great. And then we have one.
That's the last one.
Right, is your Vertex, right? Is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to present that too?
Sure, yeah, if you want.
Vertex's invoice at number 130817 for our services in the month of July. Excuse me. Totals $42,999.20. Of that, $11,974.20 is for UTS of Massachusetts for construction materials testing for concrete cylinders and soil compaction and so forth. Those guys sometimes have a tendency to be a little delayed on their bills, so there's actually 3 UTS bills attached to this to our invoice for this month.
Who was that vendor? Sorry.
UTS of Massachusetts. They're the testing company.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's right here. All right. Any questions or comments on this invoice from Mr. Kirby or myself? All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the invoice for Vertex Services through July 31st. Invoice number 130817 for GC services and also funds for UTS testing and materials for quality checks of site materials in the invoice amount of $42,999.20. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Carl. Do a roll call.
Linda? Yes. Larry?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
All right, the vote is unanimous, so the motion passes. Great. Good. So, Steve, that wraps it up for you. Nothing else?
That's it for me. Thank you.
All right, any of the board have any questions, concerns?
No, thanks, Steve.
Welcome.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, everyone. So next item is, any other business, any other discussion to bring up? No?
For me?
No.
We can move on to looking at adjourning here then. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. You just do a roll call, Alicia, then that'll wrap it up.
Who seconded? Is that Carl?
It was Carl.
Yes, Carl.
Yeah.
So Larry,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and Carl.
Yes.
Great. Unanimous. So we are adjourned.